Hey guys, Brian delivers you the goods here. I'm returning to you for a premiere video. And like I said, this is the video before the new throwback movie review that is supposed to premiere tomorrow at 3:30 p.m. in the afternoon, like mid-afternoon. So this is for the next Underoath Marathon Studio album review for their second album, which actually does not feature Spencer Chamberlain until he comes in 2003. So I just found that out and I was like, huh. So he's not with the band as what I'm currently listening to. But this is for their second album, Cries of the Past, that I'm going to be reviewing. So I'm going to discuss what I listened to for this Underoath album, Cries of the Past, the 2000 album, and let you know my thoughts on it. So let's dive into this review. Now, the lead singer for the first three albums is Dallas Taylor, the screamer, and then there's a backing vocalist that does his growl screams too, or the deep growl screams. And it doesn't sound bad. Musically and instrumentally, this album has potential, but it squanders with Dallas Taylor with his screeching screams and his deathcore kind of sound screams that he's doing. So they're a Christian deathcore band for the time being until Spencer Chamberlain comes in for the 2004 album. And that album I won't be reviewing till Thursday. So, yeah, but what I think of these five songs, well, keyboard wise and synth sounds and the keyboards sound a little better. And electronic keyboard and synth kind of stuff. It sounds a little better for the first song. So I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. It's an average track. It's just it doesn't quite hit its mark with the screams, in my opinion. But Giving Up Hurts the Most was an okay track. There was a little more screaming in that track. But I couldn't stand Walking Away, honestly. It was kind of ear grating. And I just couldn't like that song. But keep in mind, this is just basically my opinion on this album. You don't have to agree with me on it. It's just how I'm feeling when listening to it. But Walking Away is getting a 2.5 out of 5. That song was disappointing, honestly. And I Dreamt of You was an okay song, and so was Cries of the Past. It ends pretty nicely with Cries of the Past, the ending to the song with where it started from the beginning. And it's an 8-minute track, so most of these tracks are very long, but it consists of a runtime of almost 43 minutes. But for what this album went for five songs, and pretty much Dallas Taylor started this band. He was one of the founders of the band, and so was Steven something. I I don't know. I'd have to look into it again on Wikipedia. But basically, he's one of the founders of the band that formed in 1997. But Aaron Gillespie started off then, and I think they started getting a little better during the fourth album to the rest of their discography. I don't know how Voyeurist is gonna sound, but I've already heard half the record, and well, we've already heard half the album, and hopefully the next half is much better, because the album does come out pretty soon, in like 11 days from now, of me reviewing this album. But Dallas Taylor's screeching screams and his growl screams don't really hit the landing for me, honestly. In my opinion, I'm not feeling for this album. I'm a little disappointed with the second album, but it's a little better effort than the last album, which was Act of Depression. The screams are all over the place again with this album, but at least musically and instrumentally, it sounds a little better. But it's not enough to make this album succeed, in my opinion. So this would have gotten a meh kind of rating, but I didn't deem it due to the fact that some of the growl screams and all that is just a little bothersome. And then there's this weird singing pitch that goes ah or whatever, and it's kind of annoying, honestly. And I didn't like that shit. But yeah, production, mixing, and execution, it's a little better than Active Depression, but only to an extent, because the downside to this is the screams, and I'm not feeling for the deathcore screams. Honestly, in my opinion, it just sounds like noise a little bit. I don't hate that kind of sound. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to be an asshole or whatever in this video, but I'm just basically giving my opinion on this. I think personally, when Spencer Chamberlain came in, I think it was sounding a little better. But I'll have to wait and listen to what I'm listening to come Thursday for the fourth album, all the way to the rest of their discography up to Erase Me. But overall, I think Underoath Cries of the Past album was a disappointing record. I don't recommend checking it out, in my opinion. It just didn't it just disappointed me a bit. Musically, it was sounding a little better, and synth-wise with the keyboards and all that, it was sounding a little better. And instrumentally, it was flowing, but some of the breakdowns and all that, I just didn't feel for. Dallas Taylor's screeching screams and his growl screams don't really sound great. It's kind of annoying, in my opinion. But still, first score, I'm going to give Underoath Cries of the Past album a 5.5 out of 10. It's a little bit better than the last album, but only by a point. Only by like a 1 star rating or whatever. But this is just my review. If you don't like it, you can check out someone else that reviewed this album. Like I said, musically and instrumentally, it's a little bit better. And some of the guitars can be all over the place with how the screamer Dallas Taylor is screaming, but it just doesn't work for me with the screams. That's the only downside, and that's the main key of how a song is going to perform. And they didn't work hard enough with that. If they did it to where you could understand the screams, which I could understand a little, but not to the extent of a lot. Uh, so yeah, this album was disappointing, so 5.5 out of 10 for me. Comment below. Let me know what you guys thought of the Underoath album, Cries of the Past, if you've heard it. I know this came out over 20 years ago. It's 22 years old of an album. But if you did enjoy this album review, keep in mind it's just basically my opinion on it. You don't have to agree with me on it. It's just how I felt when I was listening to this record. But comment below and let me know what you guys thought of my album review for Underoath Cries of the Past. Tap a like on this video if you liked it. Subscribe to my channel if you can. Support the channel. I'll have another video probably Tuesday. I'm gonna try to get some movie reviews done if I can. I haven't decided what yet. But if I don't do another movie review, expect one on the 7th or 8th. Or at least by next weekend, at least. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this album review for Underoath Cries of the Past. I did the best I could to make it as good as possible. And the next album will be The Changing of Times. And that's the 2002 album, which technically this year it is 20 years old. Because it came out in 2002. And yeah. And it's the last album to feature Dallas Taylor and a few other members. And then they left the band in 2003, and that's when Spencer Chamberlain and a few others came on board to make the music sound hopefully better. But I'll wait and see come Thursday if the fourth album sounds good. But stay safe, take care, have a good rest of your night and Monday night and going into Monday morning and all that. And as always, I'll see you in my next video.